Hey everybody, Josh here. Today covering another, we'll call it a top maintenance fail sort of a video topic, but in this case it's top things that we see people failing to do or mistakes that people are making coming out of winter into the spring. So you have likely been either riding outside in the goop and the gunk and the crap and the wet and the road grit and you know all that stuff, or you have been doing something that's probably actually worse for your bicycle. You've been riding it indoor on the trainer in front of Zwift or whatever your software of choice is, and that may actually be worse than riding it outdoors all through the winter. But either way, we are now coming into spring, and it is time to get the bike back and ready for those beautiful spring rides through the fields of flowers that we all love so much. So top things that we see people either doing wrong or failing to do as they come into spring, and all of these can cost you a lot of money and a lot of pain and suffering. So here we go. Not changing the bar tape. This is so huge, especially if you are riding indoors. Your bar tape is generally waterproof to water resistant, but it is not really good at keeping water from creeping under it. And of course, the way it's wrapped with all of that edge area, you've got all of these places where those liquids can ingress and get between the tape and the bar. We will put some pictures up here. These are all over the internet, but your sweat is not just salt water, but it actually contains trace amounts of ammonia, and some people actually have quite high amounts of ammonia in there. There's some pretty toxic stuff in sweat as far as aluminums are concerned and certain steels. And so if you have an aluminum bar, this stuff creeping under and sitting between the bar and the tape can really just corrode that bar into a total powder, which is quite dangerous. But even just as bad, maybe worse, it can attack and corrode the steel clamp behind your brake lever, which is also not something you want to have, corrode and then snap and let loose on you. So at the end of your trainer riding season or your outside riding in the gunk season, get that bar tape off, get everything cleaned and inspected. This is your one chance to see, do I have any cracks? Do I have anything that look suspect underneath there? And then let's put some nice, beautiful bar tape back on for the coming season. This is probably one of the biggest safety checks you can make on your bicycle as you transition to spring. Please don't get hurt with an aluminum bar failure. Carbon bars aren't subject to the same failure, but it's also a great time to inspect your bars for any cracks. The downside of carbon bars, of course, bike falls over in the parking lot, falls over at the coffee shop, gets hit the wrong way, you can set up a little crack that will grow in time. This is your chance to find that before it becomes something potentially dangerous. So number one, please remove and replace your bar tape. Do a little inspection. Dirty drivetrain. This is true whether you are riding outdoors or in, because when you are riding indoors, you're creating a lot of static electricity through the bike, and so stuff that's in the air is literally coming and sticking to the bicycle, and particularly to the drivetrain. So you are pulling and attaching dust and other airborne contaminants, even if you're riding indoors. If you're riding outdoors, it goes without being said, you probably can look at the bike and see it. Clean drivetrain from dirty can save you as much as 10 watts. Okay, so let's think about this, $750, $800 oversized pulley derailleur cage system might save you 1.8 watts. You can save many times that, up to 10, by just cleaning and applying a fresh lube of your choice. Of course, we love the SILCA lubricants. Consult Zero Friction Cycling's data set for what the top lubricants are if you don't want to buy SILCA. But this is a really important one. Your bike will run more efficiently and more quietly, which your friends will appreciate, outdoors with a clean drivetrain than a dirty one. But the second huge benefit here is that your drivetrain will last much longer. All of that surface contamination, dirt, dust, grit, that is wearing at the chain roller to chainring and cog interface. That's actually helping to wear out your cassettes and your chain rings. And then anything that gets inside the chain is wearing and elongating and stretching the chain, which in turn will wear and elongate and stretch the cassette and chainring as well. So doing a really deep drivetrain clean before you get out for the year. You reset that thing to 0, put the lube of your choice on it. You are going to not only be faster and more efficient and quieter, but your stuff is going to last a whole lot longer, which over a couple of years is going to save you a lot of money. So get that drivetrain clean. We sell, actually, brake and drivetrain cleaner. Cleans disc brakes, removes squeal, cleans drivetrain. We also sell a ceramic waterless wash with a wax. A lot of companies sell similar products to this, and one of the things that we hear all the time from our customers is, I just cleaned my bike and I've got this terrible brake squeal, or I've moved from the indoors to the out and I've got a terrible brake squeal. Well, contamination of the disc brakes leads to that brake squeal. You really need to use the proper cleaner to get it off, but then you have to be thinking carefully to not recontaminate them with other work that you are doing. This is one of the reasons we do not make aerosol or spray-based lubricants. Even tiny mist that you can't even see coming off of an aerosol or a spray-based lubricant for the chain can contaminate and cause disc brake squeal. So you have to be really careful with that. Similar, there are a lot of waterless wash products on the market, ours included out there, that work great as waterless wash, but if they contain waxes, or in our case, we use a silicon dioxide ceramic coating, that is actually a contaminant for your disc brake that's going to lead to squeal. So you need to be really mindful of what you're spraying on the bicycle and where and how closely to the disc brakes. If you're using a ceramic waterless wash product like ours, you want to spray that onto the rag first and then do the cleaning with the bicycle, really trying to avoid spraying it anywhere near the disc brake. And then I would recommend no aerosol-based or spray-based lubricants of any sort anywhere on the bicycle. But again, if you are going to use them, try to use a towel or something to kind of block and protect that disc brake. It really is frustrating to get yourself into that loop where you're cleaning the discs and then recontaminating them 5 minutes later, only to realize that you need to go back and deep clean the disc brakes for to eliminate that squeal. So be really mindful what you're using, where and when in the cleaning process. It is so common, and growing up working in bike shops, one of the most common complaints as we come into spring is, my bicycle is making this creak or click or other really annoying sound that I can't find. And everybody's brain generally goes straight to the bottom bracket, thinking, do I need a bottom bracket overhaul? Do my cranks need to be tightened? In my experience, 99 times out of 100, this is actually a quick release or a thru-axle problem. And the reason why is that so much stuff can accumulate and get down in there, right? You've got the static creation from all the things spinning. You've got stuff being flung up into the fork blades and running down into the seat stays. As you're on the trainer, you're sweating and all of that is dripping down. That's generally the last place your sweat is going and puddling on top of the that interface there between the hub axle and the fork blades. And of course, that's also where you've got your quick release or your thru axle. The first thing I recommend doing, if you have any clicking or creaking, but hopefully preemptively before you get creaking or clicking, get those wheels pulled off, get all of that nicely cleaned, clean the interfaces down, lubricate with a nice extra pressure grease, EP grease, or an anti-seize works really well here too. Get all of that lubricated and then put back together. I really cannot kind of oversell how much crap accumulates in those areas and how much damage it can do if it's left to sit there, particularly with some of the modern thru axles. And you'll know if you've got one, some of them use threads that are machined after the anodize to help give you a better tolerance control of those threads. But then those threads are now a little bit less protected from corrosion, particularly of that ammonia in your sweat, if you're an ammonia sweater. And so all of that can concentrate down in there, really attacking those threads and those interfaces, leading to those problems. I'd also argue it's a huge pain in the butt if you're on the side of the road and your thru axle is seized and you cannot get the thing loose with a multi-tool. We've actually seen this quite a bit with some of the World Tour teams where they are using the small electric impact wrenches And a lot of times they can really struggle in the heat of the moment to get the through axles out because there's some combination of corrosion damage. A lot of cases, or a lot of times in their case, it's due to the over cleaning of the bike. The kind of like daily cleaning actually can accelerate the corrosion. And then if you're not getting it fully lubricated and covered with enough EP grease or anti-seize, that you're just getting these really high stictions that make them hard to get out in the field. So bar tape, please clean your drivetrain. Don't use aerosols around disc brakes, and please, please, please be mindful and thoughtful about your through axles and quick releases. Those are huge for safety. They can also be hugely annoying if they're making a lot of sound. What tips and tricks do you have? What did I miss? I'm sure there's a bunch of you out there who said, oh God, what about this one? Please put it in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe this video. Tell me what you want to see in the next one, and we'll see you next time.